Our presentation is on South African wine varietals.
The financial impact of the region. It contributes about 56.5 billion South African rand to their national GDP, which makes up roughly around 0.9% of South Africa's economy. It employs around 27,000 people, which supports both rural and urban livelihoods. It will generate about 562 million in US dollars in an annual export revenue. Wine tourism adds 9.3 billion in rand for their driving hospitality and local businesses to grow exponentially. Every 1 million rand in wine sales supports million in added economic value. It has a very strong multiplier effect. The challenges they face are export declines, taxation, and climate risks that impact profitability in the region. The Western Cape region benefits the most, retaining about 31 billion rand of value. The industry long-term success depends on premium branding, sustainability, and supportive policy.
So some of the varietals grown, the first one is their signature grapes, and there is Chenin Blanc, which is a mostly widely planted white grape, and it is dry, ripe, and complex. The other grape is the Pinotage, which is uniquely South African and was created in 1926 from Pinot Noir and Cinsault. Some of the key reds are Cabernet Sauvignon, which is historically important and used in high quality Bordeaux style blends. There is also Syrah and Merlot, which are full-bodied warm style climates. And then the last one is Cinsault, which is a parent of the Pinotage and still used in blends. Some key whites are the Sauvignon Blanc, which thrives in cool coastal regions and is crisp and aromatic. And the second one is the Chardonnay, which is increasingly premium and used in both still and sparkling wines. The very last one are the blends, and there is the Cape blend and the Bordeaux style blends.
Okay, so soils and weather influences. So the climate. The dominant climate type in the major wine regions is Mediterranean, warm, dry summers and cool, wet winters. South Africa is further from the equator than other areas in Africa, so you do get those cooler climates and precipitation. Many vineyards benefit from the cooling influences of the Atlantic and Indian Oceans, sea breezes, elevated terrain, rocky, hilly, typical winery environments. Precipitation varies widely, so some inland and valley regions are pretty dry and need irrigation. And like I said, the coastal higher elevation zones get more rainfall. Soils. So South African vineyards have a lot of diversity in their soil. Africa has a rich geological history, so you get that ancient granite, sandstone, shale, and alluvial deposits. And then how does the that soil influence the vine behavior? Well, the granite and sandstone soils tend to be more well draining, and they heat up more, so that leads to riper grapes. Whereas the clay-rich soil or soils with higher water retention really slow that ripening, and you get the more acidic grapes there. For example, in the Stellenbosch region, granite and sandstone soils with high clay content that gives you that good drainage and water retention. And that's where you get your premium red wine grapes from. And then soils in South Africa have very low phosphorus, except for around the rivers, which has good implications for growing wine. And then a bit about the history of wine in South Africa. So, the first grapevines in South Africa were planted in the 1600s by the Dutch East India Company near modern-day Cape Town. That was on February 2nd, 1659. The first wine was made from Cape grapes, and the intention was to supply wine and grapes to the Dutch provisioning station and ward off scurvy among sailors. So then some challenges they ran into in the 18th and 19th centuries is wine production grew, including fortified and sweet wines for export. The arrival of the French settlers in the late 17th and 18th added viticultural expertise and increased wine plantings. And then they faced difficulties in disease like phylloxera and mildew, war, economic pressure, a lot of turmoil in South Africa across the years. So, needless to say, affects all industries, wine included. 20th century to modern era. For most of the 20th century, the industry was characterized by large co-ops, high yields, fortified wines, and not much international recognition there. With the end of apartheid and the opening of exports in the 90s, industry shifted towards more high quality and international varieties with growing global competition. And now today, South Africa is among some of the world's top wine producers and exporters.
Some fun facts about South African wines and wine culture are many vineyards are also wildlife reserves where you can drink wine and spy animals like giraffes, zebras, baboons, and uh, leopards. South Africa ranks the eighth largest wine producer in the world. South Africa contributes to over 300 million liters exported annually. The South African wine of origin system ensures that wine labels with a specific region contain 100% grapes from that area. South Africa holds the distinction of producing the very first wine in the entire southern hemisphere. Another fact is Napoleon's favorite wine came from South Africa, particularly the Constantia sweet wine. South Africa has the world's longest wine route that runs through 530 miles of wine country. And lastly, the Cape Doctor, or wind that comes through Cape Town, goes through vineyards, blowing away pests, fungus, and humidity, ultimately helping grapes in South Africa.
Thank you, and that is our presentation.